So even though it is currently 2025 and guitar manufacturing has changed a lot, even in the last 5 to 10 years, there is still a really big stigma about guitars that come out of China. A lot of people out there will instantly hear that a guitar is from China and say that it's cheap, it's unreliable, it's poorly put together, and all the rest of those things. But that's not true anymore. And in this video, we're going to find out why, because the guitar I'm going to be talking about in this video really does dispel that myth that Chinese-built guitars are poor quality. In this video, we're going to be checking out this guitar from Shijie Guitars. This is the STE Custom. So if you've never heard of Shijie Guitars before, they are a brand, as I mentioned at the start of the video, based out of China. It's actually a really small team of people. They're not one of those factories that are churning out 10, 20,000 guitars a week or a month. They are a small family-run business, and their entire mission is to basically create high-quality, high-spec instruments that don't break the bank. So the guitar in this video, the STE Custom, this is actually one of their hand-built range from their custom shop. And believe it or not, in the UK, with the current exchange rate, you could pick one of these up for just over £1,000. And when you actually consider what else is on the market for that price, you'd be very hard pressed to spec match what this thing is compared to other guitars in that price range. I want to say a big thank you to the guys at Shijie Guitars for sending me this thing to check out. This is a great guitar, and to be honest with you, I've actually taken this out on the road and done a bunch of gigs with this as well, because I really wanted to road test this, because I'm obsessed with HSS Strat types. And as soon as I played this, I knew this was going to be a great touring guitar. So yeah, this has been living on the road with me for the last couple of weeks as well, and it has not disappointed me in the slightest. So let's dive into some of the specs of this guitar. Now, the color I have here is like a vintage white. This is also available in a bunch of other classic colors over on the Shijie website. You'll notice I've got the HSS formation, but this is also available in a more traditional triple single coil formation as well. So we have an alder body here. According to the Shijie website, it is a 2-piece alder body. And as you can see, on top of the vintage white finish, we have a polyurethane style lacquer. Now, I've got the HSS version. This has Seymour Duncan pickups, so we are getting branded pickups for that money as well, which is fantastic. In the bridge position, we have a Seymour Duncan TB4 humbucker, and we've got the SSL 1 single coils in the middle of the neck. The middle one's actually reverse polarity wound as well, so when you're in the position 2 and 4, cancels out any hum, which is also fantastic. Typical layout here, we've got volume, 2 tone controls, and a 5-way switch. All of this acts exactly the way that you'd expect an S-type guitar to. That tone control is only for the neck pickup, and that tone control is only for the middle pickup. And like a traditional Strat style, there is no tone control for the bridge pickup. That is probably one of the things that I don't like about this, purely because I just like having the option to have a tone control. So at some point, I'm probably going to modify this to link the bridge pickup to that tone control as well. But out of the factory, the bridge pickup is not connected to that control. So that's one thing I would like to change about this at some point. Electronically, this guitar doesn't have anything like a coil split on a push-pull, but there is a coil split built into the pickup selector switch. So in the first position, it is the bridge humbucker on its own. In the second position, it's this coil of the bridge humbucker with this pickup, so that gives you that position 2 Strat sound. In the middle position, it's just the middle pickup. In position 4, it's these two together. And in position 5, it's just the neck pickup. So there is a coil split, but it's not available on just the bridge humbucker. The bridge on this is Shijie's own vintage non-locking style tremolo. It's got their branding on it, and it's got a big old brass block in the rear. It feels like a really high quality tremolo, to be honest with you. I'm not someone who uses a ton of the tremolo system myself, but what I have used, it's been pretty rock solid, and it can definitely live on the road because I've toured with this and it's very stable tuning wise. The neck on this guitar is quarter sawn Canadian roasted maple. I love roasted maple necks because of the additional stability that it offers, especially as a touring instrument. But also this has carbon fiber reinforcement inside, which just gives you that little bit of extra stability. So if you're moving this in and out of vans and venues and, you know, in and out of warm and cold places, it's just going to help your overall tuning stability. On top of that, we have a rosewood fretboard, which has a 12-inch radius. That's loaded with 22 medium jumbo frets. The neck is what they call a modern C. It's slightly thicker than some other S-types that I've played. It definitely feels more like what you'd expect a more vintage feeling S-type to kind of feel like in the hand. It feels the hand just that little bit more, but it's not one of those huge baseball bat necks, but it's definitely slightly on the chunkier side. Then we've got the headstock there with the Shijie logo on and the handcrafted series message. And on the rear of that, we have Shijie's own locking tuners. Locking tuners are always useful on a non-locking tremolo guitar because they just give you that little bit of extra stability, and also it just makes string changing that little bit quicker. And we have a bone nut on this guitar as well. Even though Shijie have stayed very faithful to the vintage look of an instrument like this, they have actually added a couple of cool little modern things as well, which just brings the guitar up to date a little bit. One of which is right here. We've got a truss rod adjusting spoke wheel at the bottom of the fretboard, so you can't adjust at the headstock end. You actually do your adjustments here. And on the rear of the guitar, we've got a nice neck heel recess. So it's curved inwards and curved this way a little bit. Even though it's a full size heel, that little curvature there actually makes it a little bit easier when you're playing high up the neck. Just gives you that little bit of extra access. So all in all, a very, very high spec guitar for just over £1,000. And as I said, you know, you're going to be hard pressed to find something with this level of attention to detail and spec in the same kind of price point. So I'm going to plug this thing in now. I'm going to hear some of the sounds. So gear-wise, I've got the Shijie STE Custom plugged into the Blackstar TV10A. That's running completely clean, and that's going via the 2-Notes Torpedo Captor X. I'm going to be using some overdrive later on in the video as well, which is going to be coming from the Analog Man King of Tone. So I'm going to start with some clean tones, and I'm going to go through all 5 pickup positions, starting at the bridge humbucker and working my way to the neck pickup. So tonally, it ticks all the boxes of what you'd expect from an S-type guitar. It's got that snappiness, it's got that chime, but then you've got that bridge humbucker, which is actually quite hot, and even into a clean amp, it actually pushes the amp just over the edge. Those single coils don't do that. They maintain that real nice clean sound. And then you've also got those in-between positions, which are great for like the funky stuff. I mean, yeah, for me, that literally ticks every box of what I'd want from a HSS style guitar. I think this thing sounds great clean. And that was one of the things I noticed when I took this out on the road, was just how well balanced it sounded in a live environment. It still had those sparkly highs and the snappiness. And then when I kicked some overdrive on and went to the bridge pickup, it just turned into a bit of a rock machine. So this is definitely a box ticking guitar for me. Now we're gonna hear the same 5 pickup positions with the overdrive on, which is from the Analog Man King of Tone. And again, for me, that literally ticks every box that I want. That bridge humbucker's got that nice mid-range growl that I really look for in a HSS Strat. It's mid-rangey and pushed, but without being too compressed. That's the sound I really like. And then you go to the, the neck pickup, for instance. Again, it's got that single coil neck pickup sound that I would want from a guitar like this. So definitely a box ticker. So I mentioned, obviously, the electronics layout is very traditional in the sense of the bridge pickup doesn't have a tone control. So for me personally, I like to have access to my bridge pickup being on a tone control. So I probably will modify this at some point to add that humbucker to this tone control here, just so I have that little bit of extra control over it in a gigging situation. It's just one of those things I like to have. I know a lot of players don't use the tone control, and that's completely fine. Now, the only thing I could probably say that I don't like about this guitar is I don't like the range of the tone controls on this. Now, they are functional and they work the way they should work, but for me personally, I like a tone control that has a bit more of a wider range. And what I found with this guitar is that if you go from 10 down to like 5, There's really not much difference in what the tone is doing there. If you go down to 3, you get a little bit of high-end roll-off, and then you go down to like 2 or 1, and then you get all the tone and roll-off. I like a tone control with a full usable range. For me, that's a little bit too extreme at one end. Sometimes I like to just dial back the tone a little bit. But again, it's nothing a simple modification wouldn't be able to solve, either switching out a capacitor or switching out the pot. Again, personal preference of mine, I just like using the tone control in a very wide-ranging way. And honestly, that's really the only thing I can complain about with this guitar, which obviously kind of feels trivial in that sense because there's so much good stuff to say about this that the one thing that I would change would be how the tone control functions. So take that as it is, because you know, that's a very minor inconvenience for a guitar that is as good as this. I mentioned earlier on in the video that this guitar has great tuning stability and that the tremolo system has always been pretty consistent as well when I've gigged it. I'm not someone who uses the tremolo a ton, but this is a pretty stable trem. And obviously I'm not treating this like it's a Floyd Rose. You have to bear that in mind. You're not going to be doing full dive bombs with this thing or pulling it up 2 tones. It's really just a way to express and warble the notes a little bit rather than do those huge 1980s dive bombs. So I'm just going to play a bit now and give the tremolo a bit of abuse so you can hear the tuning stability that way. Now, again, I wasn't dive bombing there, but I was going quite aggressive with it, and as you can hear, there's very little movement there on the actual tuning of the guitar, which, again, is a big testament to how this thing's put together. So if you are using the tremolo live, it's going to be pretty reliable. So there you go. There is the Shijie Guitars STE Custom. Honestly, I really like this thing. I've wanted to try out something from this brand for a long time. So this is this has been a long time coming. I've been speaking to the guys for probably the best part of 2 years now to try and nail down the right opportunity to get one of their guitars in my hands. And here it is. So a big thank you once again to the guys at Shijie for making this happen. As I said, I've already taken this out on the road. It's been super reliable, super dependable. And yeah, I couldn't be happier with this thing. I love it. So check them out. There's some links down below in the description where you can go over to the Shijie website, check out this guitar and all the other stuff they do. There's actually some more affordable versions of this as well. They do some that are like £100 or £200 cheaper with, again, HSS and Triple S, different colors and whatnot. But if you can stretch to the custom, I would definitely recommend checking this out because you basically get yourself a hand-built guitar that is easily in the same quality and playability ballpark as guitars twice its price without even batting an eyelid. And I will happily say that every day of the week because this has been one of the most surprising guitars I've played. I've got a few friends who own Shijies and I knew they were going to be good, but I didn't know they were going to be this good. So yeah, I'm very, very impressed. If you've played one, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are as well. And as I said, you can check out their website down below in the description. Please do that. And while you're doing that, please leave a comment and let me know if you have played one or you're interested in playing one. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are as well. And also, while you are doing that, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing as well because it greatly helps me and it helps to keep the channel growing. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. I'll see you very soon.